Zoro showing your idea, Simen Lamed Zain, Sif Mem Dal to Mem Ches, the supplemental day 247 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. I have to say, as I'm recording this, several days in advance, on account of Yontif, Sukkot Tufshin Pei Vav. This is the evening of Hoshana Rabbah, and we are awaiting in a couple of hours the Hashem, the release of the final live hostages, prisoners in Gaza. Kodesh Baruch Hu should help them come back b'shalom b'shalva, and Am Yisrael to find Refuah and Yeshua. And Hoshana Rabbah is an appropriate day for this. Okay, so it should be, of course, a schus for Am Yisrael and Yeshua. So the Memdal. So it's about the Arukh to the force, I should say, in describing how a bua, which goes through and through, is an issue with the symphone, and when it's not an issue with the symphone, now he's going to say, wait a minute. Also going to opinion of the author Shulchan, the Mechaber Ramah. That the Gedol Chaim Los feel like they do not hold this way. They don't draw a parallel like the Arukh did between a lung which just spills like a pitcher of water, the basar names where the flesh is dissolved, Philomayim becomes like water. Of course, it's likely that the bronchial tubes have become ruined. Because therefore you have to check the bronchial tubes if they become ruined. Mashkin bu as opposed to a bubble, maver, even from side to side. That basar shalim where the flesh is intact, nothing's missing. But the bubbles pressure the flesh via symphonos and the tubes. It's starting to go sideways. And the tubes just are displaced. They're not destroyed, not ruined. And they could contend that if it's clear water, you don't have to check it out. If they're full of pus, it's possible that as a result of pressure, in that case, it's possible that the bronchial tubes have become pierced or ruined. But that's in that case, you need to check it, just like case where the lung is dissolved. But if they are murky or rancid, it's much more likely, even than pus, that they become ruined. And also check will not be effective. Sharif Rambam Osim Buos Chaygavna. The Rif and Rambam, they ask for all bubbles in those circumstances. Those require b'dika even if it's clear water. Also, in the varda, and you're a cloud. They reject that. Not just in the varda, in the other parts of the lung, there are also some siphonos near the fringes of the lung. We say ad arba godlim so that 4 thumb breaths in a large animal and 2 thumb breaths in the small animal. Based on that, you don't get yet from starting that count from the fringes to the within those measures to the primary tubes. But so we shouldn't be more machir by varda than the rest of the lung, where there are tubes all over the place. They reject that the chumrah by deposits. Is not mentioned in shots at all. Doesn't seem reason to be machmir. There's the Yam Shloim, the crazy place, which is short. Yesh's topic, the question could be raised: are they machmir by murky or rancid water? Even the bubbles do not spill onto each other. And in that case, they'd be more machmir about Shulchan Aruch, or where they spill into each other. And then that's an issue here because of the two bows being opposite each other. So normally Shafchei Dori is better because it makes it one bua. Here Shafchei Dori is worse because it goes through and through from side to side of the lung, and therefore it could impact upon the symphonos. Or is the only way they spill into each other, that is a problem. That seems to be the case that they would be lenient, that they would only be issue where they spill. There's bubbles on each side spilling into each other, and that seems to be the primary perspective of the Ibrahim avoid Shabbat HaKel the Baal Shulchan. So they're going to be more lenient than the authors of Shulchan Aruch. B'yesh Shabbat the scheme of the Shulchan Aruch, although there are those who say by Avada, okay, we'll ask like the Shulchan Aruch, and that's the Simcha Chadasha. Mem Hey. Buam Aver Aver. If you have a bubble which goes from side to side, through and through. One side, it's in the place with their tubes. The other side, it's below the place of their tubes. Yesh Lakel, it can be lenient. On one side there's a bubble, inside Tinora. The other side there's a deposit or morsel or blister. Dino Kibuam Aver Aver has same as a bubble from side to side. And then if you cut into the lung, you see there's an interruption, a gap between the bubble and the deposit. Yesh Lakel be lenient. That was just first. I was in Sif Chavav. Zion is from Sif Chavav. Also, if you blow up the lung, or ubasar tzas, then you see that on one side the membrane and a little bit of flesh rises. Can't see the bubble there at all. I feel like a mursa ain't kind. You can't tell there's a blister there. And then the bubble is going to be on one side, not the other side. The kosher, and that's kosher. It's for sure. Memvav derech habuos hagdolos in large bubbles. It's normal that sometimes the water inside the bubble does not fill the entire bubble. And they pour like a pitcher from here to there. Inside the bubble, kosher. It's kosher. Even though it's an empty gap, more than space, more than revius in volume. So too by bubbles goes from side to side, or at the fringe of the lung. As long as you don't have the prohibition of the side to side, which you explained. Or the problem of the shipule, the fringe. Then I feel then even there's emptiness inside the bubble. One of the vis is kosher, so vushay sod. Mem Zayin, Bua Shanimtza Bo Nekev, a bubble which has a hole. Hechle Memash Vishyola Tabcha, where the butcher's hand, the shochet's hand has manipulated. Kamo and Meitzah like in the narrow part of the chest, or where he plucked something off with strength. So Lina, Kamosh Kosam Simon Limba, we assume that he ruined it. A place where the hand of the butcher is not extended, we don't know if the hole was made during the lifetime of the animal or after its death. After shechita, it's treifa. We don't say that since it's shech, that it's assumed to be mutter. You don't say, well, make another hole in the bubble. And compare the holes to each other. Just like we find in a hole in the lung, if he didn't show shots, and jump, where there is such a possibility of doing such a thing. That's not over here. The buos is kosher. Bubbles change all the time. Maybe it looked differently, and now it changed. It's Rashi, Daf Mem Vav Mem Beis, and Mekifim Bebuei. Don't do comparisons by bubbles. Even according to the Shas, it's not effective. Not just Chumas Achronim. Why do we say that once a shech is mutar beneath l'shach shchita, not say ha neked? And let's assume that after the shchita, the hole came about. It's unlikely to link this to after the shchita. It's unlikely after shchita. Because not about an error when the hand of the butcher is manipulating it. It's much more likely to happen before the shchita. Ain't a suffix tray, and then it's only a suffix tray for at worst. But I feel welcome the mashi shot at the top. I'm not sure what is, but I feel welcome the mashi shot at the top. Even place where the hand of the butcher is manipulating it. You have to look at the ribs opposite the hole. So you find a problem with the ribs. Treifa. If you didn't look at the ribs, the evidence, it's not an impediment. Mem ches. V'da, yishno shlom atzinu. Puab mitareves kim bereah. Bubbles are only a problem in the lung. Feel breah shlof, even a lung of a bird. But any other part of the animal, operation in the kuvos and mashu, even by the time where a hole, a puncture, is the size of a mashu, the smallest puncture, trafes, ain't trafes bua shachbem. There's no trafa of a bubble. Then abua me'ida alanekev in those other places, the bubble does not indicate a hole. And therefore, there's those say that I feel b'dika inside b'shayim for him. If you find a bubble in other limbs, you don't even need to require a check. The documents that you find in the stomach or in the intestines. Some say that tzarich b'dika, you have to check. Liftach abua, to open up the bubble. You also my boss is showing tachtav and see if the flesh is whole underneath. It's for sure. It says at least ayin for sure. If it's only one bubble, you have to check. It's not like one bubble in a lung, which is not required b'dika. The reya uruchu in the lung, it's normal to have bubbles. But in other organs, since it's an exception rule, you should check it. If you didn't check it, but you're okay. But in the intestines, there are many bubbles. Then for sure you have to check. There's no greater flaw than that. And much down the line, we'll get to an explanation of that. But that's it for today.